In this video, we'll look at the concept of circles and learn how to write an equation of a circle in standard form. Probably when you think of circles, you think of a geometric shape, but circles arise in mathematical applications quite a bit. If you think about the distance from a satellite tower, cell tower, to the signal that it puts off, sometimes those are in circular paths, and so we can represent that range in a form of a circle. Mathematically, we define a circle as the set of all points x, y in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point hk. The center is this point, this fixed point hk, and the radius is that equal distance between the center and a point on the circle. So what's really interesting here is that we can apply the Pythagorean theorem to figure out how to write the equation of a circle, because we know that the distance between hk and xy is r. Pythagorean theorem also leads to the distance formula, so either one is applicable here. So when we write the standard form of a circle, we know that the distance between hk and a point on the circle, which is denoted xy, that distance is r. Recall the distance formula, which again arises from the Pythagorean theorem, is x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So we know the distance is r. The difference between the two x coordinates, in this case would be x minus h, we square that, plus the difference between the y coordinates, which is y minus k squared. If we want to remove the radical, we can square each side, and that gives us this equation. R squared is equal to x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So this tells us the standard form of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, where r has to be greater than 0. And hk is the center of the circle, and r is our radius. So now we'll play with writing the equation if we know the center and the radius, and we'll put this in the standard form. So recall that our center is going to be our point hk. The radius is r, and the standard form is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared is equal to r squared. If the center is 3, 2, and our radius is 2, the standard form is x minus 3 quantity squared plus y minus 2 quantity squared is equal to our radius, which is 2 squared. So in standard form, we get x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 4. So this equation represents the circle with center 3, 2 and radius 2. If our center is negative 6, 7 and our radius is square root of 3, keep in mind this is negative 6 is our h, 7 is our k, square root of 3 is our r. So we would have x minus negative 6 quantity squared plus y minus 7 quantity squared is equal to the square root of 3 squared. Simplifying gives us x plus 6 squared plus y minus 7 squared, and the square root of 3 squared is just 3. If we have the point negative 4, 0 as our center, h is negative 4 and k is 0, r is 5, we have x minus negative 4 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 5 squared. The equation in standard form is then x plus 4 squared plus, well, y minus 0 is just y, so we can write y squared equals 25. If our center is 0, negative 8, and our radius is 3 square root of 2, we get x minus 0 squared plus y minus negative 8 squared is equal to 3 on the square root of 2 squared. X minus 0 squared is simply x squared plus y plus 8 squared. When we square 3 on the square root of 2, recall we have to square 3, which is 9. When we square the square root of 2, we get 2, and 9 times 2 is 18. Lastly, if our center is 0, 0, which is hk, and our radius is 4, we would get x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 4 squared, which is x squared plus y squared equals 16. So notice in part E that if our center is 0, 0, the equation is simply x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So that is true if the center is at the origin. Now, this next example is I'm giving you the equation of a circle. You have to determine its center and radius. So again, we need to think about the standard form, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. This key thing here is that inside the parentheses, we have the subtraction sign. So we have x minus 5 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 16, which is really 4 squared. So our center, because we have subtraction signs there, is just our hk, which is 5, 3, and the radius is 4. Now you could also set r squared equal to 16 and solve. You don't have to take the negative square root because we're talking about a radius, so the square root would be just 4. Part B is x plus 9 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 49. We can write that as x minus negative 9 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to 49. And if you want to, 49 is 7 squared. So the center in this case is negative 9, 4. And our radius is 7. Here again, I could just set r squared equal to 49, take the square root to get 7. Part C is x plus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 3. So we would write these with differences to say x minus a negative 2 squared plus y minus a negative 1 squared, and I'm just going to leave that as 3 for now. So our center is negative 2, negative 1. Our radius is not 3 because that is what r squared is equal to. So if we take the square root, r would be the square root of 3. X plus 7 squared plus y squared equals 8 in standard form is really x minus a negative 7 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 8. So our center is negative 7, 0. The radius, we know that r squared is equal to 8. So r is going to be the square root of 8. But remember how to simplify the radical. That's really 4 times 2, or 2 on the square root of 2. X squared plus y squared equals 9 can be written as x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 3 squared. So the center is at the origin, 0, 0, and the radius is 3, again, because r squared is 9. So r is the square root of 9, or 3. So the key thing, I don't necessarily want you to have to go through and rewrite the standard form. I want you to be able to look at the equation and glean from it the center and the radius. So notice that the sign of the center is always really the opposite of what we have here. X minus 5, y minus 3, the center was 5, 3. X plus 9, y minus 4, the center was negative 9, 4. So we're really thinking about what value makes that inner expression. 0 is where we get the values of h and k for our center. The other really important thing in the equation of a circle is notice that it's the square of x minus h plus the square of y minus k equals r squared. So there's always a summation between the two quantities that are squared. So let me know if you have any questions on this. Thank you.